Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, as per your respective time zones. On behalf of the entire Evosys Managed Services team, we would like to welcome you all to the 22C Talent Management Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with the new features and functionalities as a part of this quarterly release that Oracle provides. My name is Shauli Datta, and I'm a lead marketing at Evosys Mastec. Today, I'm your host for this session. I'm glad to introduce my colleague Mohtasim Sheikh, who is a part of our vast HCM team at Evosys Mastec. He has been serving as a principal consultant. Today, he will take us through all the talent management updates for 22C quarterly release. Today's session is planned for around 45 to 60 minutes and will make sure that we also spare some time to answer all your questions that you may have. Before we move to the agenda, let's have a quick look at the important disclaimer. As today's agenda, we would like to convey you our approach towards the Oracle updates in a very simpler method. Next, we will be taking you through vital analysis for the 22C updates done by our experts, which will help you in incorporating new features and updates easily into your system. Also, we will sync you on any bugs or known issues if there are any. Next, it is also good to have an interactive session. So please do ask questions through your chat and question panel. We will answer them at the end of the session. In case if we run out of time, we will make sure to respond you back by connecting you at later stage with your questions. This is to give you a glimpse of how we have created the structure of this session. Today, you will have list of new features coming in 22C, detailing on new features so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. Next one is what are the business benefits and the important takeaways for you as a decision maker. There are 4 components where we have done in-depth analysis of features which we are going to present to you. The first one is impact level analysis, which demonstrates the impact on the end user. If it is low impact, then regression testing can be avoided. But if it is high, then we need to opt for regression testing. The second one is where we are all aware that some features which are default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. The third one highlights the nature of the feature. There would be certain configurations which may be required, or some can be used without any changes. The last one is a quick win. This term we use simply to convey what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and what requires significant amount of time and effort to make sure of this feature. Moving ahead, we would like to know, with the help of a quick poll, which industry does your organization belong to? This will help us in creating more fruitful webinar content moving forward. The poll will be open for 30 seconds. Closing the poll. Thank you so much, everybody. Handing over to my speaker, Mohtasim. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sauli. Hello and welcome to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank each and every one of you for sparing some time from your busy schedules and attend this session where we are going to cover off all these features which have been released for 22C in Oracle Talent Management and Learn Management as well. I am Matasim Sheikh and I have been serving as Principal Consultant at Evosys Master. And please excuse me if you hear some noise from me because my throat is a bit bad, but I'll try to avoid that as much as possible. Moving ahead, the first thing that we would like to highlight today is that this are the entire list of the features which has been delivered by Oracle for Talent Management Suite and Learn Management module. So overall, there are 37 new features which are coming in 22C, out of which, as per our analysis, we think that there are 27 default features, which means they do not require any kind of opt-in or enablement, and they are present in the system as soon as 22C is upgraded for each of your respective modules. On the opt-in side, which means that we have to enable those specific features, we have analyzed that 6 of them are quick wins. As explained before, this requires minimal investment of our time and efforts on both the sides, but 4 of them would require some extensive testing, extensive investment in terms of time and effort to be able to completely grasp the new feature that has been delivered by Oracle. So now the entire session has been split into 4 different categories based on the quick wins and the default enablement. So first of all, we would just check the features which are quick wins and which do not need any additional configurations or specific enablement from the system. Before I dive into the individual features, I would like to tell you that when I discuss the individual features, the order of the flow would be, let's say, career development, then it goes on to goal management, performance management, the profile management, and learn management. Because when we talk about talent management suite, it is a combination of individual modules, which covers from profile management, your goal management, your performance management, talent reviews, and succession planning. So on the right hand side, if you look above impact analysis, it will always highlight for which module this particular feature belongs to. So that would make your life much easier to understand that this feature is going to benefit you in which respective modules, because some of you might be using only one of these talent management modules and not the entire suite. So please always have a look on the right hand side as well, because that will help you understand for which module are we talking about. So the first feature that I'm going to talk about is from career development module, and everyone that is using career development module would agree with me that this is one of the most important modules for the organization standpoint, because it helps the organization to plan and retain the talents which are there. It also helps the employees to express themselves freely in what role they would like to continue with the organization. On the same lines, the career development module helps us to create talent pools. In talent pools, as we are aware, we can identify a group of employees and then we can plan for their skill enhancement. Now, this could be so that we can better prepare them to occupy a future position. Now, while we were using talent pools in the past, it allowed us to add only the goals from the goal library, which means that before I could add any goal to the entire talent pool, first of all, I had to do a prerequisite, which was go to the development goal library area, create a goal, then come back to talent pools and add the respective goal to my group of people. What Oracle has done, it has removed the first prerequisite step. So now, if you directly go to your talent pool, you can create a goal even if it is not present in your development code library. Now, this looks like a very small feature, but when it comes to ease of use of the system, this is a very great add-on, because the first prerequisite of going to a different area of goal library has been completely taken away. So it makes the life that much easier for your talent administrators. So that is the first point. And as you can see on the impact analysis, on the impact level in terms of the system, this is low. But on the admin side, it has a good impact. We don't need to enable this feature. As soon as your modules, as soon as the parts go to 22C, this would be automatically be available for use. There is no additional configuration, and definitely it's a quick win. The second feature that I'm going to discuss is new talent profiles which are contributed by other applications. Again, this is to do with the career development of the employees. We know that when we talk about profiles, there are two main profiles we focus on. The person profile, which is to deal with the skill set of the employees, and then this model profile, which deals with the skill set of particular jobs or position in the organization. This is the very essential part because once the skill set information is correctly maintained in the system, it helps us easily identify the best suited candidates within the organization whenever we are looking for positions which needs to be filled in. Along with maintaining the correct information for the profiles against the employees or the job, it is also very important to understand how was the skill set assigned to an employee or was updated at the employee's record. This is where this new feature helps us. So what now Oracle is telling us that whenever the updates are happening to the skills against the employees, it is going to be identified correctly in the way that if it is already existing, instead of creating a new record, it is not going to indate it, it is just going to update it with the new dates. If it is coming as a new record completely, which means a new profile item has been added, a new date is going to be added. So when we talk about this different applications, we mean was it added by the employee or the line manager, or did it come in from goal management, or did it flow in from the learn manager? There are different applications through which a profile can be updated against a person profile. Hence, the automatic identification by Oracle and maintaining the correct history is definitely a feature which is going to benefit to all of us in our day-to-day usage of the system. And as you can see on the impact analysis, we have the impact level as low. We don't need to enable this. We don't need any additional configuration. Hence, it is definitely a good win for all of us. Moving on, a feature for goal management. Now, this is going to make the lives easier for the administrator in terms of identifying who is the right employee to which the goal needs to be added. So, when the line manager goes to the team area and they want to assign their own goal to their team members, they had to search for the team members and then assign it to them. The process will more or less remain the same, but for managers who have a large number of employees reporting to them, for let's say in the count of 30, 40, or 50 employees reporting to them, which is a very nominal case in big organizations, then the manager can simply start typing in the name. And what will happen is just by typing in 3 characters, Oracle would start filtering out the result for the line manager. And then the line manager can simply choose to add everything which comes in as the search result, or the line manager can further, select only few members from the search result. So by uh, bringing in this new feature, Oracle is going to make the life much, much easier for the line manager because we understand that line manager has a daily routine to follow. They have the daily tasks to be addressed to. And hence, trying to find out specific team members when they have a huge number of team, it just adds on to the burden. So by bringing in this new feature of searching by name, it helps the manager reduce that much time and makes the process that much more efficient. As you can see on the right again, it is does not require any enablement. It does not require any additional configuration, and it is definitely a quick win because we don't have to ponder a lot in terms of how this is going to be utilized. The next feature is to do with performance management. Now, when it comes to performance management, we know, especially when it comes to annual appraisal cycles, there are different components which are evaluated for the employees. It could be the employee's goals, it could be the competencies, and there could be additional questions which are also a part of the entire annual appraisal cycle. So whenever we are using the competency section, if the competency section was updated against the model profile after the performance evaluation started, we had to update the relevant performance document. So that was a time consuming ask for the entire administrative team. Now what Oracle has done is, instead of doing that ad hoc updation of the performance document, it has brought in a new scheduled process by the name of update performance document model profile competency sections. And by simply running this particular scheduled process, the system is going to update the competency section for everyone in the organization. Now, for people who are a part of talent administrator team, they would very well appreciate that this schedule process has been brought in by Oracle, because as I said previously, this is just going to make the process that much more effective and efficient. Again, thanks to Oracle, we don't need to work anything additional on this. It is available by default, and definitely it's a quick win as per our analysis. Moving on, Oracle has brought in a performance document review meeting date check. So as part of our solution, what we always do is the review meeting between the employee and the manager. If it happens today, the manager should go into the system today itself and start off that process and enter today's date. Later on, once it is shared with the employee can verify the date and accept the performance document evaluation that has happened. What Oracle has done is, if by mistake, even if the meeting was conducted today between the manager and the employee, the manager enters a future date. Let's say the manager by mistake selects 20th of July. Now Oracle system is going to pop up a warning message that you have chosen a future date, which is a check for the manager that they can rectify their mistake right now. If this was not there, the mistake carries on, and then we need some admin intervention to rectify this entire scenario. Hence, by bringing in the small pop-up message, Oracle has now increased the chances that this does not happen in the future. As per our analysis, again, this is a quick win. It does not require a lot of thought process, because this definitely adds in value to the entire solution that we have. Plus, it does not need any additional configuration or does not need any checkboxes to be ticked, because this comes by default whenever your environments upgrade to 22C. The next feature that I'm going to talk about is about questionnaires. This is a very, very handy feature which Oracle has brought in for, again, the talent administrators who are working in, day out with the system. Whenever they are creating questionnaires, just to have a look and feel, how it is going to look to the end user, they had to go into the particular questionnaire, click on the last train stop, and then they were able to see the preview of the questionnaire. Now, this increased the chances that once somebody goes into the questionnaire, they might change some values even without any intention. So there was a chance of increasing mistakes once they go into the questionnaires. So what Oracle has done is, they have given the preview button now right outside in the main questionnaire section. So now instead of going into the questionnaire, you can simply highlight the questionnaire and click on preview. And that is where you would be able to see the look and feel of the questionnaire that you have designed without making any inadvertent changes to the questionnaire, which is going to be used by the employees. I personally believe this is a very handy feature. It's just a great add-on by Oracle, and it's definitely a quick win as per our analysis. No additional configuration is required to enable this feature, and hence uh, it is as per the impact analysis that you see on the right hand side. During this entire session, you might start noticing that there is a theme of features that Oracle is bringing in. Oracle is trying to focus on how the administrators or the line managers can quickly identify what is the priority of the meetings that they should be conducting in terms of talent review meetings, in terms of succession plannings, or in terms of talent pools which they have. So to bring in this feature, what Oracle has done is they have brought in some new sorting options, as you can see on the right hand side. So what can happen now is by just going into this sorting area, the administrators or even the line managers, when they are preparing this talent review content, they can identify which are the meetings from latest to oldest, oldest to latest, and so on. Hence, their focus would always be on the meetings which are directly in near future. It increases the productivity in this manner. On the same lines, as we continue with this session, you would notice there are more features which would help the administrators and the line managers. I'm just going to be on this slide for a few more moments so that you can see the new sorting options which have been brought in by Oracle. All right, I'll just go on now. The next feature is for talent review meetings. An interesting feature which has been brought in by Oracle, because what they have done is they have combined one of the field options from core HCM and brought in to the talent review. So what Oracle has done is there is a field called as management label, which is present when you are creating jobs in the core HCM area. The field contains values like first line manager, second line manager, directors, chief executive officer, and so on. Now that specific field is also available as a population filter whenever a meeting is being created. As you can see on the bottom right of this presentation, using this field over here, whenever a population is being created for a particular talent review meeting, it will make that much easier to identify all the first line managers, all the second line managers, and so on. So for a specific business leader, if the business leader comes and say, I want to have a talent review meeting for all my second line managers. So instead of finding them by typing in the names, we just need to select second line manager in this area, and all the relevant people will be populated, and we can simply add them to our talent review meeting. Again, a time saving technique which Oracle has brought in. So the talent administrators would be pretty happy with such kind of field that have been brought in. No additional configuration required for this. Hence, it is definitely a quick win for all of us. Again, something which makes the life easy is searching for specific people in the review population. So what happened was we were able to add people in the population, and then there is one final check, which is the review population box. In the review population box, previously we were not able to type in names and such for individual employees. We had to scroll to the entire list and then decide where the population members added by mistake or not. Now, in cases where a lot of people have been added to the talent review meetings, it was a bit time consuming to go and check each member and then take a call if they need to be removed or to be kept in the meeting. So instead of doing that, now the population type filter would allow the administrator to simply type in the name, select everyone that should not be a part of the meeting, and simply remove them. A very live example I can give you about this is when I was working with one of the police sector. They decided that every new recruit would be part of the talent review meeting, and based on how they perform, they would take a call on who should be retained in the police force and who should not be retained. Now, when new joinees come into the police force, they create a talent review meeting with hundreds and hundreds of people. Especially for those kind of scenarios, this feature is going to make the life of administrator that much simple by typing in the name and taking the call if the person should be there in the review meeting or not. This does not need any additional configuration, hence it is definitely a quick win as per our analysis. Moving on, just a couple of slides back, As I said, that Oracle is trying to bring in a theme so that everyone is able to focus on what is the task on priority and make it much more efficient in nature. So previously we saw that Oracle brought in the sorting option so that we can sort the talent review meeting from oldest to newest or newest to oldest. And the same line, what Oracle now is going to do is it is going to by default filter out all the talent review meetings based on the 3-month criteria. So any talent review meeting within 3 months from today, if it is not started or if it is in progress, that would be filtered out by default, as you can see on the screen over here. And it is just going to make it that much more productive for the administrators. Obviously, if you want to have a look at all the talent review meetings which are there in the system, you can simply remove those filters, right? And then you would be able to see all the filters which are under your governance. Previously, this was possible by creating our own saved searches, but it meant that everyone had to do it on the system and then create save it on their own records. Instead of that, this is going to be available to everyone across the organization. As this does not require any additional configuration, it is available by default. It is definitely a quick win as per our analysis. The next feature is one of my favorite features from 22C releases. This is going to bring in history tracking for succession planning. This is one of the features which was requested by a lot of our customers because even when you create a succession plan, you can add multiple owners for it, which means multiple people can add candidates to it, they can remove candidates to it, they can make changes to the readiness level of the individual candidates. But it was not always easy, or it was not able possible to record who made what changes to those succession plans. So what now Oracle has done is inspired from its core HCM area, where viewing the history is always a default feature. They have brought in the same view history feature for succession plan. So you can see what are the changes in terms of candidates being added, candidates being removed, changes to the readiness level, owners being added, owners being removed for the succession plan by clicking on the view history of succession plan. I would just go on the next slide so that I can show you how it is going to look on the screen. So as you can see on the screen, in the last 3 months, you can have a clear view what was changed and by whom was it changed. A great functionality brought in by Oracle in 22C, which is going to address pain points for a lot of customers. And it does not even need some additional configuration. This would be there by default. Hence, definitely a quick win as per our analysis. Continuing with the theme of identifying the priority items for the administrators or the line managers, as you can see on the screen, Oracle by default is going to place a filter for only the active succession plans or the active talent pools to be visible whenever the administrators or the line manager visits this area. And this is the theme which Oracle is trying to bring in for the talent module. Ultimately, the result would be better efficiency for day-to-day operations. Again, no additional configurations needed. Hence, it is definitely a quick win as per our analysis. Moving on, now there are some changes on the reporting side, which Oracle has done. So Oracle has brought in some new additional features which can be used when you are creating analysis in the OTBI area. For the people present on the call, you would be aware that OTBI is a simple drag and drop tool. You can create reports on the go. Oracle has brought in the new subject of user-defined talent ratings, and we can pull in dates like when was it created by start date, if it was end dated at some time, so we can bring in the end date, the numeric rating that has been created as a custom value, the rating levels, etc. So by bringing in this feature, Oracle has just enhanced the reporting capability of already an amazing tool of OTBI, and this is just going to give you that much more comprehensive reports from Oracle OTBI tool. This is just some more information. on the same information that what is available now in the OTB. I'm just going to keep the slide on for a moment so that you can have a look at it. Moving on, now the first feature for learning management. So since 21A, Oracle has been emphasizing that a new e-learning player has been brought in, and that should be enabled. Previously, what we had to do was we had to configure a specific profile option. Only after creating that profile option, the new e-learning player was enabled and the old one was taken away. Now, from 22C onwards, the new e-learning player is going to be defaulted. The benefits are it has much more streamlined control, for the SCORM packages. So the user experience is much more greater compared to the previous e-learning player. And now it comes by default, so no additional configurations needed. Hence, it is definitely a quick win from our perspective. Next, Oracle has tried to bring in some more control from admin perspective. So one of the tasks which the administrators have to do is to go in and check the history of approvals. There are so many approvals which can be configured, different workflows, and you need to keep a tab of what is happening at what point in time. For learning item contributions, which is when the employees publish certain videos or they publish tutorials for different communities, they go for respective approvals. And now what Oracle has done is by simply going to transaction control, you would be able to see when was it created. And in case of multi-level approvals, it is also going to help us keep a track of the history of approvals. So that much more control to the administrators and that much more information available. Next is a technical improvement to the product, which is called bulk ingestion. So whenever we are using HDL capabilities to upload certain content items, now we don't need to take some additional steps of running processes. What will happen is through the HCM data loader, the new content items which have been loaded would be by default search from the Oracle search. In the backend, previously we had to schedule a lot of processes, and after the data was loaded, we had to do some additional steps, but that has been taken away by bringing in some more additional features in the HCM data loader itself. So this is something that is used using data loads, and it is a bit more technical, not used in day-to-day operations. But since it does not need any additional configurations, it is a quick win in our analysis. The next improvement is deep link to the enrollment activity area. Deep link basically allows us to go to a particular page directly by clicking on the hyperlink. So now what Oracle has done is they have started giving deep links for individual activities. Previously, the deep links were available for courses and offerings only, but now for individual activities also the deep links are present. How it can make our life easy. Take for an example that there is evaluation as part of the activities, and we create a custom alert. So anyone who has not completed the evaluation, we can send them this custom alert with the deep link of that particular pending activity. And when the employee clicks on that, they would directly land on the evaluation page. So there are more creative ways of using this new feature. But since this does not require any additional configuration, this is definitely a quick win in our analysis. The next 4 slides that I'm going to cover are to do with reporting area again, but this time it is to do with learn subject area. This is mostly beneficial for people who are going to work on, let's say, technical report development, because Oracle has renamed certain table structures so that it is more in line with the REST calls that Oracle already has. This is just going to make the technical people's life that much easier. Uh, Unfortunately, there is not much to explain on this. So what I'll do is I'll just keep the slides on the screen for some time before moving on. Does not require any additional configuration. This is backend improvement which Oracle has done, hence it is definitely a quick win. again. This time it is the reporting OTBI area. So Oracle has brought in the completion requirement as some of the fields in the subject area. So even the non-technical people can drag and drop the relevant information and create meaningful analysis on the go as and when required. Since it does not need any kind of configuration, it is definitely a quick win as per our analysis. So as you can see on the screen, these are all the new fields which are available in the subject area, which now you guys can use to create meaningful learn analysis. Moving on. So now moving on to the features which are or which would be automatically be available, but it might need some configuration to make much more meaningful use of them. So there is something called a business title list, which people would have seen, especially in cases of multiple assignments. Especially in UK, we have a lot of organizations which are people working on multiple assignments. So they have multiple jobs doing it, running at the same time, and it becomes a bit tedious to identify the correct job for which we want to act on. So what Oracle has done that it has started to give much more information in the business title field. Previously, you could only see the assignment number, maybe the job description, but not much more information beyond that. Oracle has now given us the capacity to configure what information is visible in the business title area in terms of the assignment number, for which legal employer they are working, the location, the HR status also. So the HR status, like, is the assignment active? Is it suspended? Is it inactive? Right? All this information is available in the business title area, and it makes the life much easier for the line manager when they are trying to work on their subordinates who have multiple assignments. Since it requires some additional configuration from HCM Design Studio, this would take not much effort. It just need a quick conversation between the business and Evosys, and we can make this as a quick. The same feature has been extended now to performance management area also. Previously, it was for goal management, but now when the manager goes to the performance management areas for the team members, they can again ask the administrator for more information in the business title area. You would see the same feature for other modules or the other areas as well. So, but this is for performance management. It needs some additional configuration, but it's not a lot of work to do. Hence, it is a quick win as per our analysis. Now feature, but now for the talent manager overview pages, right? So whenever the administrator also go to talent management overview pages for the employees who have multiple assignment, they would see much more information, which helps them take a decision which is the right assignment for which they want to act on. So some configuration needed, but it is a quick one as per our analysis. This is a very interesting feature which Oracle has brought in, which is scoring the questionnaires. It is similar to what we have in the recruiting side, where we score the pre-requisition question, pre-screening questions, and are able to identify the correct candidates a lot much quickly. Same way, now we would be able to score the questionnaires which are part of your annual appraisal cycles. An example of this could be, let's say you have a questionnaire for the employees where you ask how many of the compliant courses have they completed. Based on the answer that they choose, you could give them certain scores, and there could be multiple questions of such nature. Hence, the scoring could actually help us identify who are the better performing employees. Also, based on the scoring that the employee gets in the questionnaire area, it could be combined with the competency and the goal score to give an overall rating for the employees. Previously, only the goal and competency ratings were used for overall rating of the employee, but now we can add on one more section to that, which is the questionnaire section. So very interesting feature which has been brought in by Oracle, which can help us improve our annual appraisal cycle. One more scheduled process which now Oracle has brought in, which is to send the feedback reminders. So a lot of time we request feedback from relevant members, but we have to manually remind them that we are waiting for your feedback. Instead of that, what we can do is From a central area, we can automatically send a reminder to everyone who has received such a feedback request. So we can set in dates like 10 days, 5 days, 20 days, 3 days before the feedback date, and automatically the system is going to send them a reminder. It needs configuration in terms of how many number of days we want to set. So very minimal amount of work that needs to be done, hence definitely a quick win. Moving on, this is again one of my favorite features which Oracle has delivered. It is to capture additional comments whenever an answer has been given by the employee. So this has been asked by a lot of our customers whenever we had multiple choice questions, and if the one of the options was others, they always were curious to know what is this others. Can you please specify? So now by bringing in this new feature, by giving comments for individual answers that you have chosen, we would be able to cater to all such scenarios where the client or the customer wants more information for the answer that they have been chosen by the employee. As you can see on the screen now, if somebody had chosen other, they would be able to specify in the comments what that other options means. So a great enhancement by Oracle, does not require a lot of work, hence it is a quick win as per our analysis. The next feature which Oracle has brought in is to help people like me who are better with visual representation, right? So what can now happen is by going into the succession organization chart, the administrator would be able to quickly see how many of the relevant team members down the hierarchy already have a succession plan created for themselves, right? So it is a much more effective way of presenting the number of succession plans that have been created in the system. So all that the administrator has to do is they have to find out who is going to be the pivot person. So in this case, it is Carol Thomas. And now I can see everyone reporting to that person and if they have a succession plan created or not. So there are 4 different views, which is direct. So you can see only the direct reports and if a succession plan has been created for them, all direct reports, but with plans created, succession plans only, which means it is going to show only the succession plans, and it can also show us the candidate which are identified for different plans. The red flag that you see on the screen is basically identifying that a succession plan has been created for that person. Right, so this is a much more effective way of representing the same data, right? And it is definitely a win for people who like visual representation like me. It is definitely a quick win as per our analysis. Moving on to quick wins, which are opt-in, which means we need to basically enable them in the system. So again, for talent review meetings, we already had a host of different filters available, like managers or religion or location, etc. What now Oracle has brought in is the department filter. So whenever the talent review meeting is being conducted, it makes the life much more easier to select people from a relevant department. Previously, we used to do workarounds like selecting a manager instead of department, but now we have this feature available directly. So even if there are employees reporting to different managers, but to the same department, we can now choose them by simply clicking on this option. It requires us to enable this option, but it is definitely a quick win because that configuration or the enablement is not going to take much more time. Now coming on to the REST features, which means it would require some intensive discussions between the customers and Evosys Mastech before these features can be released and used. Best careers. What Oracle is trying to do is it is trying to bring in AI capabilities into its product now. Previously, we had to do a best match analysis to identify who is the right person for a particular job role in the organization. Adding on top of it, what Oracle is going to do is bringing in AI features to bring in the relevant recommendations to the employees. So once the employee goes to the explore careers area, the AI is going to understand based on their past actions what is the relevant job openings for them. Now, why this has been marked as a high impact feature, because this does require we need to go to Oracle and enable their AI capabilities. which can also have some cost implications, and this requires some detailed discussions before this can be switched on. But definitely a great feature which Oracle has brought in. The next few slides are going to have the same theme, which is guided journeys. So guided journeys is one of the core HCM features. What it does is, before an action can be initiated, it gives an option of guide me at the top, as you can see on the screen. When the employee or the line manager or the administrator clicks on guide me, there are different tasks which are available. By following the different tasks, the employee or the line manager or the administrator gets much more information on how to do that particular transaction effectively. If somebody comes in the organization and is relatively new, let's say to the line manager position, he might not be aware of what all things need to be taken care of from business perspective. In those scenarios, the guide me or the guided journeys adds on and makes the life much easier for the new person. So for the goal management pages, wherever the manager wants to maybe share certain goals or assign certain goals to the team members, the guide me feature would basically give the information what are the things that needs to be kept in mind before they complete this transaction. This has high impact because it needs some in-depth understanding from the business side before this can be configured in the system. Moving on, the guided journeys for the career development area as well. So as you can see, career statements, what kind of roles I can explore, what should I enter in the work requirements area. All these areas are present to the employees, also to the managers to be able to see for the team members. Now the guide me feature is available on that page also, so it can make the life much more easier and also clear for the employee or the line managers. But just like previous explanation, this would require some detailed discussion to understand what kind of steps or what kind of tasks need to be enabled in the career development area for the guided journeys. Moving on, it's again the same guided journeys, but this time for performance management. So a lot of time when we talk to customers, they do raise this question that how do we tell our managers or the employees while they are in the system what they should be doing as part of their appraisal cycles. So now with this new feature of guide me, we can have maybe tutorial videos which are present under the guide me section. And by simply looking onto such tutorial videos, the managers or the employees would be able to do the annual appraisal cycle much more efficiently. But again, a lot of process needs to go into this before such things can be configured. Hence, it has high impact analysis and it is a win, but not a quick win as per our analysis. Right, so these are all the different things which can be basically enabled in the journeys area. So same thing from the previous slide. Talent Review also has the Guide Me journey now. So as I said previously, the Guide Me is available in different areas of talent management suite. So even when the line manager are creating the content for talent review meetings, we can give them certain vital information based on how they can choose to enter the information for their team members. Again, detailed discussion needs to happen before such things can be configured in the system. Next feature, a great add-on, I would say, by Oracle, which is to populate the performance document with person profile. So far, we were able to update the content area only with the model profile against the employees, but now we can populate the content area with the person profiles information, and only those competencies would be evaluated. A lot of time this request did come from the customer, but unfortunately we were not able to cater to it because it only allowed us to capture model profile, but now Oracle also allows us to capture information from person profile. So a great add-on from Oracle. The reason it is a high impact level analysis because a lot of you might be using the model profile already. So the business will need to take some time and decision how this can be rolled out. Again, Oracle is trying to bring in artificial intelligence for the best successors. So when we are creating succession plans, we need to identify who are the best potential candidate for those succession plans. So apart from finding the best fit analysis, now Oracle is trying to bring in artificial intelligence as explained before. But on the same lines, it means we have to enable the AI capabilities of Oracle product, which can have different impact also on the cost side of things. Moving on to the last area, which is the removed features. So Oracle has decided it is going to truncate a lot of reports and dashboards, as you can see on the screen right now. So this is important to understand because a lot of you might be already using this seeded dashboards, which means you need to start planning for your transition. How do you create maybe your custom dashboards instead of this seeded ones? In the future, after 22C upgrade, you still have the relevant information with you. And the last point is about the e-learning player, which we discussed previously. So the classic e-learning player will no longer be available from 22C onwards. By default, the new and upgraded e-learning player will be available. And that is what Oracle is trying to highlight over here. That is all from my side. Again, I thank you for patiently listening to all the things which I was trying to convey. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat area. We will get back to you. We'll just wait for a minute just to see if we have any question which needs to be answered. Okay, Saili, I don't think we have any questions from any of the attendees. Again, thank you everyone for spending your valuable time for this session today. Handing it over to Saili.
Thank you, Motasim, for your wonderful insights. So before we move to Q&A, we would like to take a quick poll. This poll will help us to note down your area of interest in order to organize future webinars with more value-based content. The poll is open now. Kindly place your area of interest.
So we had a couple of hands raised. I think few people lowered their hand. If you could bring those back up again, we can start picking off a few questions, or you could always put them in chat and we'll answer them as well. Carlos, I think your hand was raised.
Please share your question on the chat bar.
So, Motasim, I'll just read out the first question. It's from Anne. Is there a good recording or document to give an overview of the performance review process? We are going into our first performance review cycle, and I want to make sure that we have it right.
Definitely, you can reach out to the team that you're working with, and we would be able to hand you over this document so that your transition is much more efficient. Thanks, Neem, for that.
All right. The second one is, are we able to see previous recordings?
For such sessions, we mean the 22C seminar sessions. If that is the ask, then yes, I think the recordings would be made available. So yes, they are available. You would be able to see the recordings for everything from core HR to payroll and talent. Any more questions that we have or hands that have been raised?
So a follow-up to that was, where can we get these? So maybe Hardik or Saudi, if you want to share that information on where these recordings can be made available. You can of course always reach out to your consultants internally as well, but team, if somebody wants to pick that up.
Okay, great. Before you all leave us, we will quickly like to tell you that you will receive a thank you email from us with the presentation PDF on the features released in 22C along with the recording of this session. For HCM, we will also be sending you test script to test the new features. Finally, before you leave us, we would like to have a quick feedback on today's session. Please rate your overall experience with 0 to least, but 5 to max. Thank you so much, everybody. Before we close today's session, I would like to ask you if you have attended any of our previous advisory webinar sessions. If you have, please let us know through the last poll. You can click on yes if you have attended any of the previous session and no if you haven't. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending the session. Have a wonderful day.